We leave you now with this. He has been described as an icon, a hero and a freedom fighter. There is probably no single word that aptly describes Kenneth Matiba, the multi-party crusader who passed away yesterday aged 85. And as tributes pour in, we are asking, is this another case of too little too late? Well, earlier I spoke to Charles Rubia, Matiba's bosom friend and one of the few surviving heroes of Kenya's second liberation. He gives us an up-close and personal look at Matiba and his fight for multipartyism. Here now is that interview. Thanks for watching and good night. Thank you, Mr. Rubia, for speaking to us and our condolences on your loss. Take me back, if you would, to the time you first met Mr. Matiba.
Well, I met Ken Matiba many years ago. As a matter of fact, I went to for my primary education, a place called Rubia, and that is Ken Matiba's home. His father was a school clerk. His father was in something called Jindo. So you can say I have known Matiba for many years. Until maybe early in 1960s, 62, 63, after independence. Then he and I as workers met very casually. Not in any political sense, but really, because I've known him for many years since he was a young boy, young man. In fact, my late wife taught Matiba at primary school.
Wow.
So I have known Matiba for many years. I've known his family for many years. And I know his home. In fact, I can say we are family friends.
What were your impressions of a young Matiba?
Oh, very energetic, very vibrant, very active indeed. And he was a school teacher at one time. But I've known him all along as a very active person. Very sporty, sports and so on.
Right.
And very strict in many ways.
Let's fast forward to post-independence.
Yes.
What is it that led you both into the multi-parties movement?
Okay. Well, this came quite naturally because I was in Parliament from 1969. Matiba came much later, but he was also in business and working. And we could see we were able to, we were not entirely alone, but the people who had some kind of education then could see the country was going wrong.
When did the two of you sort of have a merger of your political ideals then, and then begin the fight for multipartyism?
Okay. When Matiba joined politics, he resigned from breweries, started his own businesses. He was a very successful young man and started businesses. And I was a member of Parliament and also in my own private business. So we got together at that time. I'm now talking about early 66. And then we started interacting as workers, him as a worker and I as a businessman, having known him since his own village, from his own village. But politically, we became very close when he became MP for Kiaru, and I was MP for Starehe here. And because of our history in the past, naturally we got together in some political things. But when Mr. Kenyatta died, then Moi took over. I was made a minister by Moi, a minister of local government. Matiba was still with the breweries, but when he joined politics, he became a minister also in Moi's government.
And how do you turn from serving in this government to actively opposing what it's doing?
Moi became president in 1980, 478 from Kenyatta. And in 1980, there was a little bit like coup d'etat. And I think the government then under Moi used the opportunity to make it a one-party state. And that is when things started going wrong. Because when in a democracy, so-called democracy, and I quote, without freedom of expression, without freedom of other thing, freedom of thinking even, democracy doesn't work. And that is when I think they started getting it wrong. And a lot of people are very disappointed. Matiba had become then an MP, as I've told you. I was in Parliament. And people used to come to me or go to Matiba, mostly Matiba from the rural areas. He was very involved with politics. And having been in government himself, he was aware of the system in government and so on. And a lot of people then went to him complaining about this and that in government. A few people in Nairobi who were settled here also came to me. And we used to meet and say, look, what's going on now? People are asking us, you are my MP. Why can't I get this and that? So we got together and said, look, we must do something about it. And so we got together, like-minded people. We got in touch with other people as well. We did not work alone, we worked with other people. I can only mention one, who is the late Jaramogi, Raila's father. Jaramogi was very active. We got together with him and a few other people. Most of them have gone, but that is when the idea came. And Matiba and I were really at the pinnacle of these changes, because we sacrificed, because I had no workings of government. Matiba the same knew it. We had friends in government, and even civil servants, some of them were very dissatisfied. So we recruited some of them into our thinking. And we decided the idea to change Kenya to be true democratic, we must cease to be a one-party state. That is the gate open for multi-party.
Tell me about Sabasaba.
Matiba should be remembered for multi-party, especially Sabasaba. Sabasaba was our creation. We wanted a meeting at Kamkoji on the 7th of July. That's why we call it Sabasaba. 7th day of the 7th month, Sabasaba. And that was the creation. And the result of Sabasaba are very well known. You know, every July people talk about Sabasaba is here. That was actually the turning point of the political journey in Kenya for improving the politics.
And since then, other politicians have tried to replicate the Sabasaba movement.
Right. Yeah. I always say, perhaps parochially, it should be recognized by the state that day. Sabasaba was the turning point, because that is the time when, although we were detained on the 4th, we had called the meeting for the 7th. We were detained for 3 days before Sabasaba. And in fact, I can tell you, that meeting was called, I applied myself for that meeting in Nairobi, and Matiba was going to, we were going to have another one in Mombasa, and Matiba was going to apply for that one. This one here, it was my own application, and the speakers were going to be Matiba and myself. So, Matiba, so to me, I say, as a parochial attitude, it's a turning point. And it should be somewhere in the, again, in the corridor of Kenya. I don't want to make it a holiday or something, but it is something we should be recognized. So over 20 people died, were killed. It is documented in many papers, in many Nairobi here and Thika and Kiambu area. So people were killed, skirmishes and so on. That's why we got together.
What is it that made the Crusaders of that time, Matiba, yourself, appear so fearless?
Appear?
So fearless. Fearless in the face of a ruthless state.
But you know the story about, bailing the cat. You know the story?
No, tell me the story.
No. It's a story about the animals. A pussycat was disturbing little rats. And the rats got together to see how they would deal with the cat. Because everyone who tried was caught. So all the mice got together and decided the first thing to do is to put a bell on the cat. So that when it comes, we can know where it is. We run away. And somebody came in and said, that was a good idea. But that's a good idea, but who is going to bell the cat?
Who's going to bell the cat?
So Matiba and I decided to bell the cat.
And what was the belling of the cat? What was the belling of the cat?
The cat became very hostile to the extent that we were detained under very, very difficult conditions, what they call isolated detention. That means you are alone in the cell. You see, other detainees in the past used to have groups. But in our case, it was to be isolated, confined detention.
Did you have any idea that he was going through the same thing? Was there any contact at all? Anyone who'd bring messages between you two?
No, I must say, I must admit, confess, when I was detained, I didn't believe Moi could detain me. I thought he was more understanding than that. I don't think it is Moi who actually, as such, is government. I would rather say KANU government, because I think within KANU government there were some people who were individually against us, yes, individuals. So they created funny stories about us. One for me, they said, I wanted to remove the government by force. I was working with some Christian missionaries to import guns. That I wanted to eliminate the president and his government and so on. About Matiba, they said something else. Those were people who I think went to Moi to convince him that we should go. But that was to me a surprise, and I thought that Moi, as a person, was above that petty little thing like that.
So you had no knowledge of what was going on with Matiba?
No, Matiba was detained. We were separately, we were not together. In detention, we didn't know where one was. No. Except at one stage, we got to befriend a few warders. And at one stage, at Committee Hospital, prison here, one day, one confided to me, he was a Kikuyu like me, so he spoke to me in Kikuyu, talking to me like that, but looking the other way.
Wow, and Matiba is also here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, so we knew, but that was after 3-4 months. In the meantime, my health was breaking down very badly. Matiba, I think, yes, health was also. But finally, that is when we knew Matiba was committee. But after that, because I went to Shimuratewa prison also, I was taken there. But we were not aware where one was at every one time. But he had a difficult time, I'm sure, like I had.
Yes, and speaking of that difficulty, I mean, it is documented the kind of beatings, others would just say outright torture, that yourselves went through, and there is a perception that Matiba really got the brunt of it, that he saw the worst of it. Was there a sense that he was targeted more than others?
That one I can't say for sure. But there was no physical beating as such. But there was psychological torture. Like as I say, when you say, you don't realize, until you went there in that isolated place on a Monday like today, then you count the days, but you reach a point where you don't even remember the day. You don't even remember the time, because most of the time you are in the cell. That is torture, mental torture. That we got a lot of that. Another torture was about feeding, sleeping on the floor. That's all. I was sick. I had broke asthma myself. So it affected me very much on that one. Matiba had perhaps something else, but there was no beating, physical beating as such.
Was there a time when Matiba had enough?
I don't think he was ever saying enough is enough. No. You don't tame people by detaining them. No. That's a big mistake. Perhaps people in power make mistakes, not only perhaps in Africa, but even in the world. Once you put somebody in prison, you think you're subjecting. No. One thing one can be, I can tell you for sure, you become hardened. Because you're treated, you're treated like an animal. Or a museum piece.
So that fire, you think, was still burning in him, but his body couldn't keep up?
Well, he came because of his mental thing. His was, what do you call it, stroke.
Stroke.
And I think that affected his capacity up here. But that is something I cannot say. Mainly can confirm that. But so I think he was still stubborn as I am. For one, say, no, it didn't change my mind. If anything, is to look everything critically. Some of the people in power today here were the same people who were opposed to us. They were working with Moi against us. They are still here, and some of them are still in government. So although they look nice, like now Matiba is gone, they will start sending condolences, saying nice things and so on. But it's only a few years ago. When I say a few years ago, I mean talking about 20 years, because 1990, 28 years ago. To me, it's like yesterday.
I see that.
They are still around, and they will start to. I don't want to be unkind to them and say it's crocodile tears. No, but really, there were some of the people who have benefited. I'll put it that way, positive, from our sweat, and they were against us about the multi-party.
You feel the country let you and Matiba down?
Yes, in a way. Injustice is still yet my view. The other injustice is the level of representation. When the Constitution was amended, the one we have is a good Constitution, but implementers are interpreting it in a bad way sometimes. A good Constitution, but the implementers, some of them are taking advantage. If you want to give me examples, I will. In today, the Constitution allows you, if you feel you are offended, you can take somebody to court. Okay, it's the right now. The multi-party is here. I have the right. I'll take you to court. But which court do you take them to? where do you get the funds to take them to court? So the ability of individual citizens to take matters to court should be made easier, should be made possible. But an ordinary person goes to the court will very often tell you, employ a lawyer. Now, you think that legal fees today, that is one thing that we've been let down. Professionals have let us down. Lawyers, their fees. Doctors, their fees. Engineers, their conduct. The engineering building collapsing because of corruption.
When was the last time you saw Matiba?
Oh, I would say about a year ago. More than a year ago. To see him physically. I went off to his home at Lemuru, and I took my family with me, Michael here, and one or two others, just went and saw him. Other than that, I've been talking to his people. His brother-in-law, somebody called Colonel Mwangi, has been in touch with him. But for him, I haven't seen him for more than a year.
For a year. Do you remember what you spoke about?
He'd been struggling with his businesses. In my view, the country should have assisted him. How we? There are many ways could have been assisted, but I don't want to speak for him or his family because they can do that themselves. But in my view, when he lost all his business because of debts from the Barclays, I think, it would have been possible for the government itself to buy in instead of auctioning, the bank auctioning. The government could have taken money from what you call it, this Tourism Development Corporation. Tourist Development Corporation is a corporation of government that lends money to business people. I had a tour company myself, and we could even go there and borrow money. That board should have been made to buy some of the, to pay the bank.
What will you miss about your friend?
I feel very sorry about his demise. I cannot say more than that he was very close to me, family friends too, but also more importantly, there was a time we did some business together. I had a beer distribution company, which he was the MD of breweries. My company, because of political reasons, went under, and Matiba helped me to come and overcome it. We got some files about that. So we were that close. And even now, I feel, I don't know how it's going to be without him. In some ways, I say in some ways, the feeling is, I feel alone, quite frankly. Ask me why, I cannot say why. But I was hoping he would get better one day, we'll get together, you know. He died, and I have one reason to go and see him. I thought he would recover, because a month ago somebody told me he was in hospital, and because it's near my house, I told his aide, oh, I'll pass by and see him. But then time went on without me. So I feel very sad about it.
What would you like the country to remember about him?
Well, I'd like the country to remember him for his contribution, both in the economic sense and also in the political sense. Those two are very important things. And also, particularly on matters of helping the ordinary people. He was very generous, I know that. His place is Kahuya, as I know it. He helped a lot of people, individually. That, I think the country should copy him for his work as in the business and his work in politics, and also his human attitude, helping those who required his help. He was extremely generous in that respect.
Pole sana for your loss. Thank you for your time.